What's up, guys? How are you all doing tonight?
We're doing
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 good.
good, man. I didn't realize, I brought the Florida Sun home with me.
Yeah,
Apparently,
I mean, hopefully it heated up a little bit. When I landed in Chicago on Tuesday, it was a balmy 55 degrees, which normally doesn't feel half bad, but after being in South Florida for a week, it was very, very cold. So it's good to see that it's warming up, um, getting in. I know Miner's already given us crap, better late than not at all. He's not wrong. We were covering some things. We've had some late ads. So, Fagley, how are you doing
we were
tonight?
busy.
Competitions are.
We were busy
doing
shorting
well.
the silver tees.
Exactly. Oh man, I'm doing well. I'm just enjoying the fact that Jody, because he's got to show off the yard, is getting the good sun right now. So it's
That's
impressive.
right. It's been kind of cloudy all day, and right before
Isn't
we
the show?
lit up the camera here, it decided to pop
It's
out
like-
from behind the clouds.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Absolutely. Well, we're jumping into a busy week in the APT. A little bit of a low week, obviously, Memorial Day weekend. A lot of people off for holidays. I ran the APT Players Championship. Was a great time at PGA National, new venue for us. Was a fantastic venue, a lot of fun for everybody. Monday was all you wanted on the Champions course. But we're jumping right back into the APT. A ton of events this weekend. I know we've got two in St. Louis. Crown Point the day after their member guest. So I've heard the rough is deep and the greens are fast. And then the beautiful Country Club of St. Albans, one of the top rated private courses in all of Missouri. It's been number 4 in Golf Week for a really long time, the Lewis and Clark course, which when you start talking private clubs in Missouri, you've got Bella Reef, Old Warson, you know what I mean? St. Louis Country Club. So to be number 4 is not a bad thing.
Not at all. And I was just looking at the events, and you were talking about it. I was doing a quick count. I think we have 27 this weekend.
Yeah, it's insane. We'll definitely get out and play on the APT this week. It's going to be a lot of fun. Let's see if we can get Jody back on the stream.
There he is.
That Dixon, Tennessee internet is not Mr. Perfect.
No.
Got to work on that rural broadband, apparently.
Yeah. Next time I'm gonna change your title to say Mr. Bad Internet.
Just Mr. Per ...
So
Exactly.
we get the AOL dial-up signal going on over there. But yeah, we got a lot to cover tonight, so we'll jump in. We're gonna bring in our good friend Dennis McGraw, chapter owner of Utah, killing it. Third largest chapter in the APT is out of the great state of Utah. Just want to let everybody know it is a steak dinner later because he's the third largest and not the largest, but that's okay. We're not counting.
You got your steak dinner already. I want to know who surpassed me for second. Nashville again? Damn it. All right. That's all right. Something to chase.
Everybody loves Nashville right now, buddy. It's okay. Don't feel bad.
I love Nashville.
So
It's a great place.
Cool.
Great place to be.
Loving it out here in Utah. This is totally blown away my expectations. Utahns are crazy about golf. Never realized how much until I ran this chapter. These guys just want to compete, and they love the game.
No doubt. Well, I guess,
Your
Matt,
kid
are we
wanna
just
go
going to jump
home.
right in here because you're being awfully quiet over there?
yeah, I mean, we did say backstage that you were going to interview Dennis, so I was trying to be cognizant of that.
Well, perfect. See, I missed that part. I didn't know what was going on.
Look, Jody, I got no problem talking. You don't have to ask a question. I'll just fill a whole hour.
Well, I tell you what, I'll get you started. Let me pull your string, Dennis. We'll get you started, and then I'll
Okay.
just stand back and watch. So, Dennis, you've been the Utah chapter owner now for 2 years,
Going on
and
my third season, yep.
you're going into your third season now. So let's talk about that. You started out as a player, and what got you interested in becoming a chapter owner?
That's interesting because initially I never had any desire to own a chapter. I enjoyed playing, and I still enjoy playing probably more. I don't get to play a lot of my events. They're just too big. We'll often, when we go to Southern Utah, we'll do some shotguns, and I can jump in and play some of those smaller fields. But once we move up to Central Utah, our fields are usually never less than 100 players, and there's just too much going on to play. When I first heard that it was possibly coming up for availability, my initial thoughts were, I love this so much, I cannot bear to see it die or recede. And so really it was initially just out of perseverance and preservation that I wanted to get involved in this. And then once I got into it, I really enjoy this. This is fun. It's a ton of work. Some of the players realize how much, some don't, but it is enjoyable. We love putting on good events. And I think our growth is telling, because just how good of events we put on. The players love them. I've got great feedback, and our year-over-year joining is just surpassing my expectations. I think we have over 70 new members just this year, which just blows me away. Just where are you guys coming out of the woodworks on and on again?
Now, it's a little bit of a family affair for you too, right? You've got your brother involved in this.
That's right. My brother Alan McGraw lives in St. George, Southern Utah. And I've always had a dream when I was even a player that we're not big enough in Southern Utah. That's a golf mecca. And my first thoughts were, I've got to bring my brother on. We've got to grow the southern end of this and just blow this state up. So he's awesome. He's my tech guy. He's kind of a nerd, like you were talking about Excel, Matt. This guy does things on Excel that just blow my mind. I took Excel in college, and I'm like, I didn't learn anything after seeing him, what he does. But he's just a wizard with the computer and helping me run these tournaments.
Now, outside of golf, a lot of our chapter owners have come to us with some sort of business background. They've got, some other business interest, or a lot of them are business owners themselves. So what do you do outside of running an APT chapter? What's your main business, as they say?
My real job, as I like to call it.
That's right. Your money maker.
I've had my own business since I was 24. I'm 51 now. And I started out in construction, interestingly enough. It was a general contractor. And many of our listeners are probably too young to remember 2008. The bottom fell out of the construction industry. We had a major recession. I had a large company at that time, about 80 employees. And I thought, I got to do something different. And I went to school and got a degree in healthcare and jumped into the nursing, the assisted living industry. And I now own 4 assisted living homes and take care of the elderly. I love it. It's just as fun as construction. Just it's a passion. I love it, and I love my old folks. And I'm set up for me in a few years.
I own and operate a title company, and did so in 2008. So trust me, I'm very aware of what happened with the real estate market and the construction industry in 2008. And turns out in 2020 during COVID, I decided I'd start up a golf tour with one of my best buddies. So here we are.
And that decision was made, but it was not pull the trigger now until Red Rock Championship, I like to tell people.
That's right.
Matt, come on. You talked about it there. We should pull the trigger.
I wasn't there. See, if we tell the real story, Jody was out there for the event with all the boys and having the conversations. I was actually taking my APT St. Louis guys. We did a spring break trip. One of our members organized for us. So we went down and we played Ross Bridge. We played Muscle Shoals. And then we played Sweden's Cove. So we played Sweden's Cove the day the world shut down. And so we were on the drive back to St. Louis from Sweden's Cove. Jody was on the way back trying to figure out if he could even fly back from Utah. And that's where we had the initial conversation. So everything was sparked at Red Rock, but I wasn't actually in Utah.
Okay.
So really where we decided to pull the trigger was the Peabody Hotel in Memphis, watching the Ducks. The only people that knew about it outside of me, Jody, Roger Sheaves, and Chris Isom was the ducks that were swimming around the Duck Palace at the Peabody Hotel.
Nice.
Well, Mr. Fegley was in Utah with us for that weekend, because on the way back to the airport, riding from St. George back to Vegas to go to the airport, and he was on the phone with his wife the entire time trying to figure out what was it you were needing. Something you were going to go to a vet to try to buy something for COVID. You were already anticipating all of the shortages of toilet paper and paper towels, the whole 9 yards. Like that weekend was when the NBA shut down. Yeah. And Fegley was already like Nostradamus, like, I'm going to have this and this. and I need to go to a vet's office.
He
and
was
buy-
part of the toilet paper run.
No, I think it was a thermometer. Like we were trying to figure. We were like, crap, we don't have a thermometer. How are we ever gonna tell if we have temperature or not? I don't know. Well, we can go to a vet and get one, or something. I think that's what it was. It was something.
I'm
just
on the
random.
phone. I'm on the phone with Matt trying to launch a national golf tour, and Fegley's on the phone with his wife trying to find a thermometer. That's where our headspaces were.
Well, and I was also, unlike the other time we came back from St. George, I was also conscious of having gas because
Yes.
I could drive. I had calculated it out. Like when weird stuff started to happen, I told the wife, I said, well, if I'm in Vegas, if I have a full tank of gas, I can get within like 100 miles of you. So as long as you have a tank of gas in the other car, I was like, if we can't find fuel, we can at least meet somewhere and you can pick me up.
I don't understand why I ever agreed to ride with you a second time to St. George.
After the first one. Those of you that don't know is that Jody is going to his third career is going to be a NASCAR or IndyCar pit crew chief, and he's going to work you through the fuel mileage at the end of the race to get you to win the
Hey,
Indianapolis.
you fit right in Utah. We drive fast around here.
That's right.
Well, that Red Rock Championship's really become a signature event for us. Our players love it. Now the nation loves it. So we appreciate the opportunity that we can play that now. And we appreciate that we're able to make it a national major. So that was a lot of fun.
Well,
Yeah.
Dennis, we've talked about St. George a lot in the Red Rock Major, but for your local chapter, now we're starting to get into the part of the season where you start moving back up north. And I know you've got some big events up there. I know Soldier Hollow is one of your favorite places, and you've probably got a couple other venues that you want to tell the folks about. That if they're looking at your schedule and thinking about getting on a plane to come out there to play, what are a couple of the events that they might want
Yeah, I'll
to
tell
take
you
a
about
closer
one
look
that's
at?
probably worthwhile for the trip because it is a 2-day. It's at a golf course called Wasatch Mountain. It's up in a town called Midway. It's near Heber and Park City. So it's up in the mountains. It is a mountain course. They've got a mountain course and what they call a lake course. So the mountain course is just as it describes. It's up in the mountains, elevations. The lake course is a little flatter. Beautiful place up there, actually owned and operated by the national parks, believe it or not. And they've done a phenomenal course job at taking care of that course. So that's a 2-day event. We call it our mid-season melee. And that's certainly worth your while. It's in the summer. It's a little cooler up in the mountains. You won't regret coming up there. And if you want to extend it and hit Soldier Hollow, which is down the road, that's where we had our 2002 Winter Olympics cross-country ski events. This turned into a world-renowned, phenomenal 36-hole course. That's where our championship for Utah is this year, is up Soldier Hollow. So great courses up in the mountains.
Fantastic. Well, yeah. I for one, looking forward to coming out there and seeing some of the places up in north of the mountains, getting up closer to Salt Lake City. I've been to St. George several times, played Black Desert, played Sand Hollow, and, the other courses out there, Ledges, and always enjoy going out there. Look forward to coming back again next year. I don't think I'm giving anything away that the Red Rock Championship will be making a return visit to St. George. So,
I was going to let you make the announcement. I wasn't going to say anything.
I don't think I'm giving anything away. Phil somewhere might be having a vein, popping in his forehead right now. But yeah, I'd say it's safe to say that one is definitely going to be rerun next year for sure.
Yeah, I know we've stretched a little bit on my time here, but I just want to make a mention of PGA National. What an event. Oh my gosh. My first time out there, that place was phenomenal. Now, I will tell you, Matt, your comment about the heat and then Chicago, the heat was phenomenal. I don't know, I've got to say, I don't know how people, I guess I do know, they acclimate their bodies somehow to understand what humidity is. You guys experience that in your towns. There's no humidity in Utah. We put humidifiers in our furnaces so we can get some humidity, okay? I never dried off until 3 hours after the round in a shower with the AC at 65. I finally stopped sweating. It took me a full day to acclimate and then some when I got home. But that aside, phenomenal place. Just everything, the resort, the amenities, the courses. That place is now on my top 10. Absolutely. Loved it.
Cool.
So-
Great spot.
I think it's a
Dennis,
little something for everybody too. You know, the 3 courses were really kind of distinctly different, with a Fazio and Nicholas, and then the Champions course. And you know, I think Fazio started out really kind of giving you the softball to start, and
Right.
if you played well on the first day, you had an opportunity to really post a number. And as it turns out, a young lady in D4 really liked the Palmer course.
yes,
Bosca shooting 78.
78.
That second
Pretty-
day,
pretty
just
solid.
Awesome.
really set up perfect for her. And then even on Sunday on the Champions course, you know, we got the privilege of being able to get them to put the Sunday Cognizant Classic
Oh, yeah.
pins out there for everybody.
Right.
But we
Those
still
Sunday
had some pretty
pins.
good scores, right?
They were so cool. Just when I played the championship course there with those Sunday pins, I was nervous at first. Like, are you kidding me? What are you doing? This is stupid. And then when I got to play them, it was awesome. Just to have that visual on the green, seeing what the pros are playing at, and they weren't ridiculously hard. Honestly, they were in the hardest spot, but the flattest spot, most of them. And it was really cool. I really enjoyed the Sunday pins.
Well,
How'd you do on the bear trap?
Yeah, the
That's
bear trap.
good.
How'd you do? I was there for 15.
I did par 15 on the par 3, which was cool. I was only 2 of us got on the green, and then I did par that, and then I went bogey, then double.
Okay.
So I was +3 on the bear trap. I'll take it.
Not bad.
Not too bad. Well, look, Matt and I really enjoyed watching everybody's eyes light up when we passed out that pin sheet on the first tee, and they realized, oh wow, we get to play those pins. This is gonna be great.
It's
So-
funny. I saw that in color, and Phil, I went off 10. I was like, Phil, damn, you guys really went all out here. Color pin sheet? Are you kidding me? And then he points to the top of it, PGA event, whatever the year was. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You printed these well in advance.
That was a nice little treat for sure.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Dennis, thank you for being on with us. You're not leaving right now, but look, appreciate everything you're doing out there in Utah. You definitely hit the ground running, and you've got a great thing going. Your whole team, not only your brother Alan, but that whole support crew that you've got that helps you out week in and week out, and they love to travel too. You got a great group of guys that
Yeah.
love getting out on a plane and going somewhere else and playing in different parts of the country. So we always enjoy seeing you guys coming, but appreciate everything you're doing out there.
Thanks, Jody.
All right, so next up, we're going to go from one chapter owner to another. Now we got to bring in the Godfather, Mr. Larry Lee, coming in from upstate South Carolina. There he
How's
is.
everybody doing tonight?
We're doing good, Larry. How about yourself?
I'm doing
Matt?
fine. I'm doing fine.
Matt, I'm tagging out. You're tagging in. This one's yours, buddy.
Sounds good. Well, I'm looking forward to it. So I know when I was growing up learning how to run golf tournaments, everybody would talk about the Larry Lee. And so it's kind of funny because, we worked together in a past life, but never met. So
That's true.
and so when the APT started, we had never met. And all of a sudden, Larry Lee's coming around and going interested in APT. And so you've seen the amateur golf life full circle. So why don't you talk a little bit about your experience? I mean, you've been running tournaments for a long time. I'm not trying to say you're old or anything like that.
That's
but-
fine. You can say I'm old. That just means I'm close to retirement.
So, but why don't you tell us a little bit about your background and what's kept you involved in amateur golf for so long?
Well, got into it back in the 90s. Wanted to do something competitive. I was a competitive baseball player when I was in the Air Force, and still wanted to play something competitive, but I couldn't do baseball anymore. The body wouldn't let me do it, and so I got into golf. And me and my dad started playing golf. Got on this little bitty golf tour in the Greenville area, and was playing on it here and there, and then was approached by another person to maybe start a chapter in the upstate, and got into it that way. Then started running golf tournaments full time from 97 all the way to 2015 And then in 2015, I decided to take a break. My other job was really starting to get into the way of running golf. They put me on permanent night shift and trying to run 12 hours nights on a Friday night and then go run a golf tournament on Saturday. My body just wasn't going to let me do it. So, quit for about 5 years, got back into it because AJ started playing golf on a couple of tours. Got back with Phil because me and Phil went way back to the early days. We had played together, I don't know how many times. And Phil said, "Hey, I'm going to start this up. Are you interested?" And I said, "I don't know. I'll listen in." And I told him at first, I said, "I'll help you in any way I can to make it what you want." Casey up in Kentucky, he's the one that gave me the nickname The Godfather. And I brought Casey into the golf business. That's how long ago it's been. So, but then getting on with the APT was really good. The vision is what brought me in. Because I've always been about what for the players. I have a regular job. I do not live off this. This is what I do for social.
Mm-hmm.
It's a social thing to me. The camaraderie and knowing all the people. That's the key to me. Even though I don't drink, if I'm out there with a sweet tea while they're having about 25 Michelob Ultras, we're okay. I'm fine with that. We can talk about whatever you want to talk. So, I'll tell you what, it's turned into a really good thing. And the guys that I have on the Upstate and Charleston tour, they're all like family to me. We keep in touch with each other, not only about golf, but all about other things in family life, and really enjoy it. Really enjoying it now.
Good. Well, that's good to hear. I know it's kind of funny because not a lot of people know, but you and I get to talk quite a bit and talk through experience of the player's experience. And I always appreciate the mentorship. You keep me in check with things. Larry's like, "Have you considered this?" And I'm like, I need to think about this for a while. And Larry loves to poke those.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of good conversations in your drives to and from work. I enjoy it. Or sometimes I catch you in between. Appointments at the nuclear facility, however that works. So when you're doing the important work, but what would you say? I know the thing I appreciate about you the most is you always talk to me about, what's the experience for the player, and not just the player that plays the national events. And it's easy at the national office to focus on national events because that's where we're at. Every other week I'm flying somewhere and we're running a major and we're seeing people. But one of the things that's cool about the APT is there's also a focus on being excellent at the local level and providing awesome opportunities at the local level. And just kind of curious on what you do to do extra focus on that.
I try to make every player feel like it's a special time. I really work hard on the setup. I like to present our brand in a very high, very good feel. When you walk up, you're at something. You're not just at a table and people taking your money and saying, "Hey, go on the first tee. I'll see you at the end."
Hey, don't forget the one flag. You got to talk about the one flag.
The one flag, yeah. So, I want them to have the experience. My wife and my son help me out. Diane does all the check-in. She is, without her, this wouldn't be possible. She's an angel. Mm-hmm. So she knows all the guys. They know her, and it brightens her day up. It brightens their day up. But I want the players to feel special when they walk up. I don't want them just thinking, it's another golf tournament. Here we go again. Somebody's going to sandbag in this, or somebody's going to sandbag in that, or it's going to be a 6 and a 9 hour round or something, whatever. I want them to feel special. So when they get to that first tee, I want them to have everything they need to make that day special, all the way down to a marker to mark their ball. I want them to have that. That's part of the experience. I want the trophies to look nice. I think I've had at least this year 9 pros come out and take pictures of our display and then put it on their Facebook page because they're so impressed by what we do. And that's how we go at every golf tournament.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I think it's funny on the national level. You know, I know if Chris were on camera, he would say the same thing. But we go visit your tournaments, and we're constantly taking notes of what we need to do to continue to step up the game. And I think that's one of the things that we try to get out that I'm sure some people understand, some people don't. But it's the small details that matter, right? And it's the focus on those details week in and week out that make these events special, and they, you know, create an atmosphere, and you're certainly the best at it. And when you create that atmosphere, then the culture follows, you know.
Oh,
and, and those little detail things make a huge difference. You may not notice them when you walk up, but what you didn't notice is how everything made you feel, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, you want that player to know that he's playing in something special, and it's not just a regular golf tournament. That's the key.
Right. I remember the first time I qualified for a state am and drove up to Chicago, and, you know, I'm nervous at the check-in table and nervous the day before, and the range is set up. But I never really got nervous because there wasn't a setup until I birdied the first 2 holes. And I get to the third tee, and there's this gigantic leaderboard that I'm like third, 2 under through 2. You know what I mean? And I immediately crapped down my leg and bogeyed the next 3. So it just, but those are the things that you remember when you play tournament golf. And so those first tee experiences and what you get when you pull up, and the feelings that you get when it's something special really matters.
Oh,
So
yeah.
Larry, until you get a big screen TV out there on the third tee, you know, there's always going to be that next thing for you to try and innovate and do, because I know, you know, you've had
Don't think I haven't thought of it. I just ain't thought of a way how to do it yet.
Next thing you know, the side of his trailer is going to be like a big video board.
Yeah, exactly.
As Matt will tell you, I have an hour drive home to and from work.
Mm-hmm.
So I have a system. I'll think of things and I'll say it into my phone so that I don't forget it. And then I'll try to find a way to make them work. Which sometimes I can, sometimes I can't. But, you know, there's dreams out there to be done. So,
yep.
But what I try to do is I try to make sure that the player is number one. That's what I want. That's what I want this whole thing to be about.
100%. And I just had to chime in there because, I mean, every time I've been to one of your events, you see a sign or something that you've done, and then next thing you know, you start going to another APT event across the country, and you're like, oh, yeah, Larry's ideas spread.
No, absolutely. Well, Larry, why don't you take a minute too? Because I know you got some big events coming up.
Yeah, we're fixing to get really busy running the Charleston and the Upstate event. I got a couple of weekends I've got back-to-backs, so I'm going to have to make some travel time. Next weekend, this weekend we got Chickasaw Point, which is a little mountain course. This is a tricky golf course. It's a short, but you can't go at it. So you're going to have to be smart about it. But it's in great shape. We've got 65 players there this weekend. Next weekend, we got a double. We got River Bend. River Bend's in the best shape it is all year. It's a nice little golf course here in Shelby, North Carolina. And the greens are what makes that golf course. And they are perfect. Then me and Diane's going to load the truck up, reload all of our snack boxes while we're in the River Bend parking lot, and we're driving all the way to Paris Island, South Carolina, and getting up Sunday morning and going to run a tournament at Legends at Paris Island, which is the Marine Corps boot camp base. What makes it hard with that one is I had to turn everybody's names in yesterday because of all the restrictions now. So there's only 28 players, but they're the ones that missed out. They're going to wish next year go ahead and sign up really early because this golf course is immaculate. It is one of the best golf courses in the armed services. So the guys that's going to be playing there, they're going to have a ball. And then we got Kenmure coming up again. I know, Matt, you played there a couple years ago because I remember you walked out and said, how did you get 12 dozen Pro V1 golf balls to give away? And it was a deal I'd worked out with the head pro. But that was a heck of a 50-50 when you got a chance to win a dozen Pro Vs on top of everything else. So Kenmure's coming up in July. That's right after Sequoia. And then we're going to turn around and I got to finish the year up a little earlier this year because we go into outage at work September 1st. Won't be able to make the national finals this year. I will miss seeing everybody, especially in sunny Florida, because I love Florida. Disney World's there. You know, Diane that would have been a Disney World trip. And she does know the difference between the castles, Matt.
Yeah, good.
So I hate I'm going to miss that, but we're going to end up the year. We got Riverton Point as one of our last events on the Charleston Tour. One of the best unknown golf courses in Hilton Head. Riverton Point. It sat dormant for 5 years. When you talk about cart paths, that might be the best cart paths I have ever driven a golf cart on. And then you get out and play the course, and you're like, how did this sit dormant for 5 years? It's on a Monday, but I expect that tournament's going to be a sellout. It is fantastic. Matter of fact, we're going to make it we're going to make it a 3-generation trip. We're going down on Thursday, my dad, me, and my 2 sons, and we're going to make a whole golf trip out of that weekend and finish it up on Monday at Riverton Point. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, that sounds absolutely fantastic.
I'm liking this because I keep looking at. I'm pulling up. That's why I'm looking over to the side here. I'm pulling up the dates. I'm like, yeah, I think I can make that work. Yeah, I think I can make that work. So you're selling me, man. You're selling me. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, I appreciate you joining us tonight. We're going to keep you on. We're going to bring Dennis on. We're going to cover our rules segment and go through it. There's going to be some good ones jumping in. Welcome back, Mr. McGraw.
What up?
So we're here to cover the rules. We've been going through the rules every week. So we're to rule 4.1. We're just going to keep it to 0.1 for right now because if not, it'll go forever tonight. But rule 4 is all about the player's equipment. So rule 4.1 is about clubs. Clubs allowed in making a stroke. So I'm not going to read all of it, but conforming clubs. So you got to use conforming clubs. That's one of the deals. If you want to know where the conforming club list is, you can go to the USGA website. But pretty much everything made today is conforming for the most part. We are going to start testing drivers for APT members at random in about 3 weeks. So I'm just kidding. That's a joke. So,
Dang, you're going to find out CO2 card should I have my driver.
Yeah, we were blessed when we were at we got to sneak in. Jody and I got invited to play around at Bears Club when we were down at PGA National and ran into Rory McIlroy on the range. And the reason he's not at Memorial is because he is trying to figure out a conforming driver that will work. So it's thrown quite a bit with Scotty's driver being there. Not quite that crazy. Obviously, we want you to play conforming clubs. Play anything from the major manufacturers, and you're fine. If it's not from like 1997. But a couple of things. Second part of that, use, repair, or replacement of club damage during a round. If your clubs are damaged during the round, you do have the option, as long as you didn't abuse it to cause damage, you can either repair it or replace it with another club. So that's one that's interesting.
Matt, on that round, let me ask you a question. When I was playing PGA Nationals on the final day, one of the guys I was in my group, his hybrid was kind of making a noise when he twisted it. And he wondered, hey, can I tighten this up? Can I fix this?
Yeah.
Could he tighten that up to make that so it wasn't moving a little bit?
Yeah, you can tighten it back up to its normal position. You can't. If it was set at a degree closed, you'd have to set it back at a degree closed. You couldn't change it to open because you had hooked the last 3. You know what I mean? It has to set back to the original. The other thing is if your golf club's damaged in the course of play, no matter what reason, it's considered conforming for the rest of that round. So, like, for example, Scotty Scheffler, they tested his driver wasn't good. If something had happened during the round that caused the face to go thin, to not be conforming, still conforming the rest of the round. The only difference, which is interesting, is in stroke play, if you go into a playoff, that's considered a new round.
Wow. Did not know that.
Random. I didn't either. I'm just reading the book as we keep going, Larry. That's why I got the rule book open. Printed copy of the rule book, boys.
That looks like rule book with decision.
So, yeah, and then the other thing is if the player replaces the damaged club with another club under the rules, the player must take the damaged club out of play before making another stroke. So, gives you definition of damage. So if you're looking to see what constitutes a club being damaged, you can read about there. Part 3, this is the big part because we see people try to do this all the time. Drives me nuts. Deliberately changing clubs' playing characteristics during a round. Most people's drivers and 3-woods hybrids are now adjustable. You cannot change the settings of your club during a round. I don't care if the wind conditions change and you need to hit it lower. Whatever that club starts the round with, it's that way through the entire round. Don't get the wrench out and start changing stuff around. That is a big problem with the rules. And here's the exception, Dennis, because you asked, is an adjustable club restored to original position or non-permissible external attachment removed? So if it becomes loose, you can tighten it back to the original position you had it at the start of the round. If you breach any of this piece, it is disqualification. It's a severe penalty. So don't change your club characteristics during the round. We will disqualify you. So there's no penalty under this rule for merely having but not making a stroke with a non-conforming club or club whose playing characteristics were deliberately changed during the round. So if you don't make a stroke with it, if you switch your driver and don't make a stroke with it, it's not a penalty. But the club still counts towards the 14 club limit, which that's 4.1b. This is where it really gets into it. This is good to know. The limit of 14 clubs, sharing, adding, or replacing clubs during the rounds. So as a player, this is really important. A player must not start a round with more than 14 clubs or have more than 14 clubs during the rounds. And this limit includes all clubs carried by or for the player. But it does not include parts of a broken club and separated parts such as club head, shaft, or grip that are being carried by or for a player at the start of the round. So if you start it with less than 14, you can add to make it 14. That's completely fine. Club is considered added when the player makes their next stroke with any club while the added club is in the player's possession. This is interesting. When the player becomes aware that they're in breach of this rule by having more than 14 clubs, they must take the excess club or clubs out of play before making another stroke using the procedure of Rule 4.1c. We'll get to it in a second. And then this is a good one because this happens all the time on APT because you all forget your clubs everywhere. we have a trailer full of them. After a player's round has started, if the player picks up another player's club that was left behind or club is mistakenly put in the player's bag without their knowledge, the club is not treated as one of the player's clubs for purposes of the 14 club limit. So Dennis is forgetful. He leaves his wedge. I pick it up. I throw it in my bag until I can find a rules official to get it. It's not part of the 14 clubs. I'm just being a good dude.
Yes.
Dennis, remember your clubs.
Can I drill down on that a little bit?
Please do.
Devil's advocate for a minute. Happens quite often. Guy shows up on the first tee, realizes, oh, dang it, I forgot I was trying out different wedges yesterday, and I've got this in I got 16 clubs. Can I just designate with my group I'm not going to play these 2 clubs and leave it in my bag? Can I put it in the basket? What can I do with these 2 clubs I tee off in 5 minutes?
Okay, so I'm going to skip ahead since you said that. This is covered in Rule 4.1. This is 4.1.
Well, I'm pushing your knowledge.
Procedure. Well, it's not knowledge. I got the book right here. I'm just going to read it. So it's not going to be wrong. You can argue with the USGA. 4.1C, the procedure for taking clubs out of play. So this is good. This is the other thing I want to say, guys. If you want to know the rules, one of the best things you can do is memorize the number of the rule and the rule. It'll make it so easy to look up. The two most important things you can know in the rule book are the number of the rule, so you can know where to find it quickly, and number two, the definitions, so you can actually understand the words that are in the book. Those are the first two things to start. It goes through that. But during round, when a player becomes aware during a round that they are in breach of Rule 4.1b, player must take an action that clearly indicates each club is being taken out of play before making the next stroke. This may be done either by declaring this to the opponent in match play or the marker or another player in the group in stroke play, or taking some other clear action such as turning the club upside down in the bag, placing on the floor the golf cart, or giving the club to another person, putting in the basket. The player must not make a stroke for the rest of the round with any club taken out of play. If the club is taken out of play is another player's club, that other player may continue to use the club, whatever that means. Getting to before the round, which is the second part of this in your question. A player comes aware shortly before starting a round that they accidentally have more than 14 clubs. The player should try to leave the excess club or clubs behind. That's step one. If you have time to take it to your car, go put it in your car. If you don't, which happens all the time because we don't want you to be late for your tee time. But as an option without penalty, here's where it is. The player may take any such excess clubs out of play before the start of the round using the procedure in 1 that we just outlined, and the excess clubs may be kept by the player but must not be used during the round, and they do not count towards the 14-club limit. So if a player deliberately brings more than 14 clubs to their first teeing area and starts the round without leaving the excess clubs behind, this option is not allowed, and Rule 4.1b1 applies. So don't deliberately do it. But if you go, oh, crap, and counting your clubs, that used to be part of my routine before tournaments, because I'd always count to make sure I had the right number of clubs. Now it doesn't matter because I don't carry extra clubs. When I was good, I would have extra wedges and a 200 and decide what I wanted to put in. But if you get to the tee and you're like, oh, crap, I have too many clubs, you can declare one out of play and just not use it.
Yeah, it sounds like the best option is take that club, put it in the basket, let your playing competitors know, I've got an extra club, it's going to be in the basket, I will not use it.
Right.
That's going to be your safest route. Now, penalty-wise, takes the full penalty of 2 strokes if that is used during play. Is that right?
Yes,
Yes.
I believe. Yeah.
Yes. Penalty is still play 2 with a maximum of 4 strokes.
Yep.
So,
I can honestly say I ended up with a whole set of clubs one time in a golf tournament where they left them with me at the first tee.
Oh,
yeah, I sometimes don't understand all that. But so real quick, I'm going to hit the last of this. You're not allowed to share clubs. I can't use Dennis's club during a tournament. He can't use mine. There are limited exceptions if you're playing a partner form of play and neither one of you has 14 clubs. We'll cover that way later in this.
way later.
If you lose a golf club, like you leave your 8-iron on the 3rd hole, you can't replace it. A lost club, it cannot be replaced during the rounds. And if you're going to add or replace clubs, you can't unreasonably delay play. You can't leave the 5th fairway, drive back to the parking lot to get a different club and come back. Not okay. You can't add or borrow any other club that's being played by another player, or build a club from parts being carried by or for the player on the golf course. So there you go.
There we go.
Now, that's a gross play event. What about a 4-ball?
We'll get to that.
We'll get to that later.
All
Rule
right.
22 and 23. So we got to keep moving though, because we got 2 more guests to interview players. We got to talk about North American Championship. We got a quick message from our friends at 2 Under, and we'll be right back.
2 Under. Quality fabrics, no roll waistband, Joey pouch, elevate and separate, no chafing. What more could you ask for?
So
Hey.
and we're back.
We're back.
So
Phew.
this in the chat's like, I'm done, correct? Yes, Janice. You're good. Thank you for coming. We appreciate it. But we got a champion in the house. He's pretty excited about it.
He is.
I'm sure he's more excited now that he's been waiting all this time to get on. But let's bring on. I guess we're not doing that. This is what the chat going. That's not right. We got Lance here. He didn't win the PJ National, but how's it going? Oh boy, we're muted.
Oh no.
There we go.
Okay,
there we
he's
go.
back.
I'm doing good, but just so you know, Matt, I'm definitely not a champion. I've never won any tournament yet, and I'm okay saying that. I have fun out there with you guys, so it's good.
Oh, we have had a blast in our short time of playing golf together, and looking forward to much more of that. But how's things at Universal Retirement?
Things are going good. Business is good this year, and has been. We're still climbing up, and we're helping a lot of people. So I really have no complaints at all.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I just want to. It's always good to have you on here to let everybody know that Universal Retirement's a great partner of APT. Not just a sponsor. We use you for our business and our employees, and helping them prepare for retirement. My family, we use you. Jody and I have a business policy with you. I mean, we're customers and being taken care of, and we appreciate it. But the thing that I love to say more than anything is there's not a tournament I go to now in a major where somebody doesn't come up to me. It's like, hey man, I met with Lance, and I'm just so thankful that we're able to work with him. And then they tell me some story about something that they were able to do that's just set them up to do just greater things with their money. And so thank you for taking care of our members.
Absolutely. And, we're very, very happy and grateful for the relationship, Matt. And we like to help people, and the family's just growing, the APT family, the Universal Retirement family meshing together. We're growing and growing, and we love helping the members. So I guess a quick message I'd just share with everybody is don't be afraid to reach out to us in any way, shape, or form. If you see someone at a tournament, one of our agents at a tournament, grab them. They're all going to be friendly and kind. We're here to educate. Don't feel like we're here to attack anyone in any way, shape, or form, or force you to do something. It's education based, and we want you guys to learn, and we just want everybody to have a good retirement when they get there. So that's the whole idea.
Right. Well, one of the things that's most unique about your business model, because I feel like the insurance industry in general has taken a little bit of heat lately with some of the the auto insurance rates and everything just climbing through the roof. You've got a unique business model in the fact that everything you do is educational, because you're set up where you're not a commission based program, you're an education based program, and the companies that you're introducing people to are doing it in a different way than incentivizing you to sell products that people don't need.
Yeah, so we're actually none of our compensation comes from any one of our clients' accounts in any way, shape, or form, or from their pocket. So all of our agreement is set up so that we're paid by the different companies we use from their marketing dollars. We do stay education based, and one of the biggest things for me was no one taught me about money. It was something in my family that just never got talked about. And I think that's a huge mistake. And it's a big problem in our country, actually, is people are afraid to ask and learn about it. So for me, it's very big. For our agency, it's very big that we take the time to educate, and we'll build things around your goals and your plans. So reach out to us. We're here to help. I will, if I may, Matt, just quick little for the upcoming tournament down in Arizona. I will not be there. Our family will be out of the country, but Josh Crossan will be there representing us in Arizona. So if you guys see Josh, have any questions, reach out to him. He's bringing some good giveaways. So we'll do some raffles again, give some stuff away. He's going to do something special at the Folds of Honor tournament. So we got some special giveaways for that one. So just be watching for Josh. Have a good time, but grab him if you have any questions, anybody, and let him know. So
Awesome.
then one more plug, if I can, for Las Vegas, PT Las Vegas here. Proud of Chase and Allie and all they do. Young kids that are just taking off with the chapter, and we're slowly growing, and it's getting bigger and better, and having a lot of fun. Bears Best, if anyone knows about Bears Best, Bears Best is actually going to become a private club, and we actually got the last day that they're open for the public, which is June 22nd. It's the final day that anyone can golf there. We ended up getting a tournament there. So if anybody knows about Bears Best, it's a beautiful course. A bunch of people have played it. If it's in where you guys can get out here on the 22nd, those of you that are close by, come on out and join Bears Best. But $250,000 after they open back up in a year or so to be a member. That's the fee, $250,000. So June 22nd is the last day, and we got the tournament there. So come out and play and have a good time with APT Las Vegas.
I don't know, Lance. I think I'll just wait and pay the $250,000.
Yeah. It's a beautiful course, though. You should come out.
Yeah, that is something. Well, definitely go out and support. I'll tell you the one thing I love about what's seen in Vegas is, a lot of people watching know that we get a lot of emails about things that happen on the APT. But one of the most encouraging things is just the amount of love we get about what's going on in Vegas. We hear from people traveling. Vegas is one of the most eclectic golf markets. People travel from all over the country to hang out in Vegas and pick up a tournament. And I've not heard anything but great things about what you guys are doing out there. And so huge kudos to your son and future daughter-in-law for the job that they're doing. And if Allie, if you're watching, I don't know anything. So
I was like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I said, I don't know anything. Have a talk. I'm just making predictions, and it might be betting a little bit on
No pressure for Chase now, right?
Correct. No pressure at all. But just if you're confused, Chase, just follow the words of Beyonce. So, but anyways, Lance, we appreciate you stopping in, and it's always good. And just the easiest way to get a hold of Lance is lance@unirett.com. I'm sure Chris will put it up in the chat so you guys have it. And consultation with Lance as an APT member is always free. So use these guys as a resource if you have questions on retirement. I don't know anybody that you've talked to that's came back to me and said that you weren't able to help them. So, but I've heard a lot of people that you've been able to save them a lot of money and make their retirement dollars go farther. And that's been really good. So thank you for that.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
So cool. Well, next up, we got to bring in our friend, Mr. Greg Otto, champion of PGA National. If you haven't been holding that trophy the whole time backstage, have you?
Yeah, I had to put it down. It was a little heavy, so I'm gonna let it set right over here.
Hey, that's a goal for our friends at Sterling Cut Glass. We're happy to make sure that we don't want you to think the trophies are too light. So if your arms get tired after holding it for a while, it's not a good enough trophy.
There you go.
So, well, you're from Denver, so you've been part of the Denver chapter since its inception.
But is that a Chiefs hat? Oh boy! What? Wait, what?
Well, I was born in Missouri, so
Okay.
I moved out here about 12 years ago. So.
Oh, okay. All right. That took 3 seconds to be like, wait a minute.
My wife's a big Bronco
rival.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit about PGA National, the experience, and what it was like trying to hold on to a lead on Monday, going through the bear trap with the Sunday pins.
Wow. I think the most memorable is the guys that I got to play with. Never met any of them, starting with I think his name was Christopher Ferducci. Oh my God, he's a character on Saturday, all the way to Jeremy Key on Monday. Man, it was just a blast. These guys made it easy to play, to be honest. A good group of guys. So I think that was one of the biggest things. Yes, I love the Fazio course first. That was my favorite. I didn't much care for the Palmer, and you could tell it in my score, but the National was was excellent. Those pins, when I saw that pin sheet, I was a little nervous. I had a 1-stroke lead going, starting. And I want to mention Juan. I can't pronounce his last name, but man, what a dude. He could play, and great kid. Kept calling me sir. I wanted him to call me Otto or Greg, but he kept calling me sir. So we got along great. Jeremy, and I believe another guy named Steve. It was just awesome. The bear trap. Wow. What can I say? I found out on 17 I had a 5-stroke lead, and before I teed off, and I instantly hit it in the water. So I double bogeyed that, but came back with a nice par on 18, and amazing course. And you guys, of course, hands down, run a top-notch tournament, and that makes it easy as well.
We appreciate that. And so what I want to know is, when you saw that pin on 15, how far left did you aim?
I was aiming at the sand trap, was thinking possibly cut it in there. Wind was blowing right to left. But you know what? All I wanted to do was hit the green. I had about a 55-foot birdie putt, and end up 3-jacking it. So, but yeah, I was nervous. I was going to play left. I wanted to go in the bunker was my thought.
Yeah, no, I mean, you watch the tour event and you kind of see it. There are a couple things that I noticed from being out there, because you watch it on TV and see it. I didn't realize how compact those holes are.
Yes.
And so it's kind of interesting to kind of watch it through, but also how small the green is on 15. Like, you think there's room there, and you're like, oh, why do these guys keep knocking it up? It's because there's no green.
There's nothing behind it either. I mean,
No.
yeah, it is. Yeah.
It's a small target.
Yeah, it was definitely a small target.
So no, it was fun watching everybody go through there, and a great time. But I also wanted to, while we got you, I want to talk to you about Denver, because, I gotta say, Fegley, we are at the national office. We are so impressed in the work that Kirk and Brenda are doing in Denver. I mean, just talk to us a little bit about, the tour out there in Denver, how it's grown in such a short amount of time. I mean, it's they're selling out events right and left right now.
Yeah, it's we're playing Breckenridge Ranch this weekend up. I think it's at 9,200 feet.
Wow.
I'm going from Florida sea level to this. I actually went out today and hit some golf balls here in Denver just to try to get my distances back a little bit. But yeah, I can't say enough about Kirk and Brenda. They're so kind. Brenda is she's the muscle behind everything out here. She runs it. She's great. Kirk's very professional. I've been trying to recruit. I think I've got 3 or 4 people already signed up. Like you said, it is selling out quick. I'm just looking forward. We have Rain Dance coming up. We've got there's a ton of them. It's gonna be fun.
Yeah, well, I'm looking forward to visiting y'all out at Rain Dance. So
yeah, I'm trying to get Darren Mongler, who's chicken. He doesn't want to come out here and play with me at all. He's scared, I think, of the altitude. Him and Bill Stewart. I don't know, those guys. I'll tell you. Sorry, I had to get a plug in for those two guys. Mongler's my putting coach, and Bill Stewart's my mental psychiatrist.
That's completely fair. Well, I will remind them when I see them this weekend that Southwest takes pretty easy flights from St. Louis to Denver. And we can go out there. And in fact, Mongler, I don't know if he's told you, I see him in the chat.
Yep.
Mongler owes me a round of golf anywhere I want to go in the country. So, not that we could find a place to play in Colorado.
Well, hey, you guys come out here, I'll set you up. And hey, oh, by the way, the Cactus Classic, Bill and Darren and I will all be there. I can't wait for that. It's another perfect event. But back on Denver, guys, I'm doing everything I can to help Brenda and Kirk get people to sign up, and I think it's really paying off. So they're doing well.
Yep.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Well, thanks for joining. I know we're going to bring you back here in just a few minutes,
Okay.
And we're just kind of going. So I will tell you that Thursday at 9, you start bringing people an interview. And it's not going to be 5 minutes. I blame Jody tonight and Dennis McGraw. They went like 25. So
Yeah.
we're going to keep on moving. And next up, we got a new competition committee member to break in.
That's
We're
right.
pretty excited about that. From the Lou, Mr. Dave Drucker. So what's going on, man?
How y'all doing? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for
Absolutely.
waiting while Jody talked too much at the beginning of the broadcast.
You're just
Oh, that's okay.
I'm just kidding.
I love listening to everybody.
So, inquiring minds want to know, what's it like being on? So, what's your first impression after the first? What's it been? We talked about it at Bedford, so it's been about a month. You've been on the conference. You've been to 3 meetings so far. So what's it like being
I think
the player?
4 meetings.
4 meetings.
Well, the first couple meetings, I just kind of stayed quiet because I just wanted to see what everybody was talking about. Then I started getting more involved, and Matt does a great job hooking everybody up and getting all the scores ready so we can talk about people that are going to be promoted or relegated or whatever. And then we go over scores. And the one thing we keep everything fair. If you're playing well, you're moving. And I think that keeps competition. Everybody's happy with the competition that way. And it just makes for better golf.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, why don't you talk a little bit about your experience? I know a lot about you because obviously you're a member of my chapter in St. Louis. But why don't you tell everybody when you start playing the APT, what's your experience with it, and just a little bit about your thoughts.
Well, I started in 2022, and actually my son Brian, because I was talking to him about I want to play more golf and I wanted to be more competitive, and he saw the APT on the website. He goes, "Hey, Dad, try this. Look at this." So I went online, read all about it, and my first tournament in 2022. And I think the most nervous part was I get on the tee box and Chris is announcing my name and where I'm from. And I stopped and I looked back and I'm like, what? So, and that, it just makes it more fun for people. And I've been doing this. This is my 3rd full year. And the Division 4 I play in St. Louis, all the men and women that play in that division are just fantastic. I mean, we all know each other. We all have a good time. We'll drink beers afterwards, talk about golf, give each other high fives, whoever wins. And that's what I like, and great golf courses too. I mean, this is the best 3 years of my life playing golf, other than with my son in tournaments. And, I had to wait till I'm 60 to do it, but I tell you what, it's a blast.
Yeah, well, one of the things that you've embodied really well is the community aspect and the camaraderie aspect of the tour. Why don't you talk a little bit about that? I think there's a lot of people that sit on the sidelines or are new, and it's easy to understand the competition side of what being on tour is like. But why don't you talk a little bit about the community aspect of it, both on the local level and also traveling around to the different events?
Yeah, I mean, I just really got to travel a lot, and just being around the people and the communities that you play at, and just the golf courses. Like, we were just talking about going out to Utah. I mean, that was just beautiful. In Bedford, another beautiful course, and just meeting people, tasting the food at the restaurants at the different places. It's just a great, it's just great to be around. And I'm just, very pleased that, I got to do this starting now, and I can't wait to travel more in the upcoming years. And I'm just very thankful for the APT.
So we certainly appreciate the service on the competition committee. Fegley, I'll let you dive in a little bit deeper on that because that's more your world than my world, and I'm thankful for that. So have fun.
Oh man. So wow. Shoot, man. What do we want to chat about, man? I mean, you put me on the spot here.
So, well, why don't you talk a little bit about, I think one of the things people want to know, when you get the emails is like, why did I get promoted? Why did I get relegated? Why did they tell me no? Why do you not let me play the senior tees? Like, just a little bit of the process that goes into it and why it's important to have players, weighing in on it and how that keeps a pulse of what's really happening on the tour.
That's fair. Well, so one of the big things is that we do, I mean, everything's in my favorite phrase, everything's in the members manual. So, so as folks get the opportunity, they want to learn more about how we handicap and how we do things. Just go into, the members manual and go to the handicap section and look through it. What we do is we take the best of, because again, we're always looking for best of performance, right? We want to look at potential. So that's what's going to determine how everything gets calculated. And then from there, as time goes on, if a player's showing that they are, below the index, we're going to promote them. But then the other, good thing that we do is we want to make sure that players have the opportunity to request and look for, changing their competitive styles in the relegation department, right, where they want to move down a division. And one of the things that Dave's starting to see is kind of how we make the sausage on that end is, we look at first, obviously we want to make sure players qualified there, but, meaning that they have the index that corresponds with the division. If you're Division 3 and your index is at 14, well, obviously that's now a Division 4 index. So we're going to consider you for that. One of the things that we did get into a pretty good discussion about this last time is for players that have a long playing history, even though their index might just barely get across that line, they go to, 13.9. As we start to look at the numbers, if they're pretty consistent, they will have the opportunity to relegate because they can shoot good scores and still not be, promoted back to the division. That's one of the important things that we do look at. So, I guess that's something for Dave. I don't know how you felt about it, but this week, but it was really interesting to look at a couple of players that we did approve because they could shoot, really low scores, even outside of the division and still not get promoted back. So it was kind of an interesting fact along those lines. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard just to look at the APT handicap to see, okay, this guy should go back, this guy should go forward. Yeah, I like how we have to look at, all the scores and see how they're doing, and I think that's very important that we take the time to look at everybody that way. So it's nice to see that, we have the 6-7 guys on the committee that we all have a discussion about it. I think that helps tremendously.
Yep. Sounds good. And that's just, I guess in a summary, Matt, that is the important thing is like, from the chapter owner side, as well as my side as the chair, as well as the players, we do a good thorough job of looking at everything and taking everything into account. But at the end of the day, one of our favorite phrases is the index is the index. So where your APT competition committee,
Right.
where we're going to do what we can to make sure that people are in the right spot, but whatever your index is, that's going to be the dictating factor.
Yeah. So a question I have for Dave, and then we'll jump into our APT topic and then wrap it up for tonight. But so what was different from before you were on the committee? What surprised you about how the committee works that you maybe think that our players wouldn't necessarily understand?
Well, before I was on the committee, I didn't really know who did what. That was the main thing is like, does one person just do this? Does one person make all the decisions? And then being on the committee, you have 6 or 7 guys and we're all discussing it and we're all putting our input into it to make the best decision. And I think that's very important. I mean, I think a lot of people that I've talked to out here in St. Louis, they were like, well, I mean, this guy's shooting this. I mean, what happens if, he shoots one good round or whatever? When we had that situation, is that fair for everybody? It was one person just looking at that. Now that I'm on the committee and seeing, how everybody discusses, I think it helps out a lot. And I think we're all doing a good job of putting the people in the right division. Well, Matt does a tremendous job. He puts a lot of work in.
No, 100. He's laughing like awkwardly. But
Gave you a plug there.
It's 100%. It's 100% true. I know, and I speak for Jody when I say this. It's one of the biggest things that came out of by the players for the players, and listening to what was going on. I will tell you, handicaps are not my passion. You know what I mean? Player experience is my passion. Going to really awesome golf courses is my passion. But I will tell you that with the input of some of our players and Fegley really stepping up with his vision, because I was always a Division I player. So Division I mentality is tee it up, big boy, and let's go see who shoots the lowest score. And handicaps and flighting don't really matter that much, but the vision that Matt's brought in and some other people as well to really make the flights fair, I start to nerd out over it. I look at scores between us and some of the other tours out there, and there's a significant difference, in looking at the fairness of the flighted competitions. I couldn't be more proud of the work you guys do, and a huge supporter of it. And like you said, Dave, in the 4 weeks, people think that like Jody and I come in and take over on these calls. How many times have I even been on the call when you've been on the call? Once, twice?
I think you were on the call 5 minutes last week.
Maybe for 5 minutes. I really
no. Yeah, you're not on the call. You let the committee take care of it, and I think that's what's great about it, And then you just so.
Yeah, and I think that's one other interesting thing, because I've had some good emails back and forth with some players, some new guys, and they were like, "Man, why did I just get moved after one good score?" And I was like, "Well, talk to some of the old guys, and you'll kind of see why we implemented that, because we got to figure out where you are, but at the same point in time, like we kind of did last night." There were a couple guys that, they did have a good score, but then they played in the other division for 2 rounds. And it's like, okay, we get it. We'll move you back because that was an exceptional round for you. But as everybody's got to understand that, that it's a part of the process, right? I don't, it's what I told the one kid. I was like, it's just it's taking your knocks from the old guys, that have been around, so that you can be one of the old guys eventually and give the young whippersnappers that come on tour a little hard time if they shoot, something that's a little low. But at the end of the day, we're just trying to get it right, and we will over time, and players gotta, would just trust that we're not just treating them unfairly or making quick moves because for just random reasons. There's reasons behind it, and that's that. So
right. Well, and let's bring Greg Otto back on.
And after being this month,
no, go ahead, Dave. Keep going.
No, I just said after these last 4 weeks, it's just you can see that what Matt just said. I'm just I think it's great that we can put our inputs in and everything comes. I think everything's come out perfect so far.
Right. It would be really funny sometime to just put a video camera on that call and then share it later. It would be quite entertaining. But
the opinions.
The G part or the R part?
Yeah,
I know.
Right.
We just have to like bleep names. It would be really funny. But anyways, it would certainly be entertaining. But I want to bring Greg Otto back on for the last segment. And full disclosure, Greg's not on any committee, so he's just a player. We love him and got to know him over the last. But a couple of the topics I think is interesting, and I know the big topic is senior tees that Chris wants us to cover. But I just want to cover one that happened at PGA National because I think it's really interesting because we did have some questions about it. Because Baska killed it. Round 2, she absolutely killed it. She doubled the last hole and still shot 78 in D4, which is an exceptional round. I think it worked out to be a 6. It got her promoted to D3, so congratulations, Baska. And it's been coming for a while. But one of the things I think is a value, and this goes back to our players, listening to our players. Because if you go back 3 years ago, anytime somebody shot an exceptional round, we were like, do we need to DQ to protect the field and all this stuff? And honestly, we missed on some DQs. Thankfully, I'm still friends with some of these people. We'll have them on eventually when they're around to talk about it. Because I promised them, I said we'd make changes. And because the thing is in this case, Basca, 20 some tournament rounds, like way more than 20 tournament rounds with us. She was a 14.5 coming in. Her Jin was a 14.7 with a 12-month low of 13.9. And then she put a 6. She careered it. Absolutely careered it. Played great. And we made the conscious decision for our players who are validated, which means they played 7 or more tournament rounds with us within the last 18 months. When they're validated, no players at risk of being DQ'd. So go shoot your score. We're going to celebrate it as a tour because we know our players are working really hard at getting better. That's the goal. And there's a huge difference between somebody coming off the street saying they're 15, never playing with us and putting up a 78, and somebody that plays with us every week, that has an established handicap of being a 14 or 15 and careering it and shooting 78. And so certainly celebrate the victory. What a way to go out of D4 and make the transition into D3. She's going to do great. But I think that's a value. And when we talk about values that we look in competition, I think it's important to talk about because we had a lot of questions about it. So for those that are wondering, why do you let a 78 go, where somebody can get DQ'd that's new for shooting an 81 in the same division? Well, the difference is we know Basca, you know what I mean? She's very well vetted. And the other person's off the street. We don't have any data on them. And so there's the value. There's the culture to it. Once you're validated, go shoot your score, man. Have some fun.
Yeah.
And it's probably going to get you promoted, but you
get a trophy, Greg. See,
but we want to celebrate those accomplishments because that's exactly what we're working for. So, anyways, there you go. I'm off my soapbox for that.
That was a good interchange. All right. So senior tees, Matt. What are we gonna touch on there?
Well, you got to start because I got to pull up some data. So
oh boy,
start talking.
Oh man. So
I got to remember where I put it.
So one of the things that and I think this is Matt from his original time, when he started this thing many more than 5 years ago, was looking at just the way some of our gray beards, get a little older, lose a little distance, still have the competitive desire, still can shoot really well, but there's just that little advantage or that little break that's going to help them, stay competitive and be wanting to play well. So, the senior tees is an option that we have. Again, it's one of those things that depending on how the player particularly hits the ball, if distance is a challenge, we definitely want them at the age of 60 that they can take advantage of a couple hundred yards and compete in the same division and see how the game stacks up against the flat bellies as they're called. I picked up that's the Oklahoma. I picked that up from Tulsa is where I got it, but then I also saw it somewhere here in the chat. But anyhow,
well, let me jump into it for a minute because I think the history of it's important to break it in for a little bit. So when I was running tournaments before APT, I had a huge problem, and especially in what is now our Division 4 and Division 5. It was mainly Division 4. And so in Division 4, I had the young guys that could hit it 300 yards, and they just had awful short games, which is why they're in Division 4. And I had the guys that could hit it 180 yards off a tee. You know what I mean? And had better short games. And so the problem is it was impossible to set up a golf course that would work for both of those. So I could shorten it, and all my Division 4 guys that hit the ball a long way would hit 7-iron off the tee on a par 4 and start shooting 79s and go to D3 and get murdered. Or I would set it up long, and my Division 4 guys couldn't get to the par 4s and 2. But everybody was in the same division. And so there's different ways that people have tried to solve it. Some have started a separate senior tour. Some have done senior divisions half the time, if they have enough people. We've went a different way to say, look, and it's based on a couple of things. The first is, we want our tournaments to have as large of flights as possible. It makes for more payouts. It makes for more competition. It makes for more fun. But it also is based on the idea that the most important thing of your handicap is the yardage you play. And there's people on here. I'm just waiting for the first person in chat to say a 10.5 is a 10.5 is a 10.5. Let me explain to you why you're wrong. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. If you think that Mr. 10.5 that plays 6,400 yards every week, do me a favor, and your next 10 rounds, go play from 7,000 yards and pull your differentials and tell me if your handicap's the same. Because I promise you it will not be. We've done the experiment. We know what the data is. And so what we're looking for and continue to improve is ways to keep people playing longer, but also like longer longevity wise, to keep our flights big, but also create a fair playing field for everything. And one of the big changes this year that we're still telling people they didn't realize is the change to how we post scores from the senior team.
Mm-hmm.
So the big rub on senior tees the first 3 years was a 75 is a 3.1 for me, but a 75 posted from the senior tees is a 4.6. And totally understand that, totally good. So we changed the rating for our tournament index that a 75 is going to be a 3.1.
75. Yep.
It's going to be a 75. And so we're allowing, what we found, the theory behind it was that you would get more accurate handicap data if you put everyone at a tee that they're comfortable at. If you play somebody from too far or too short, it's going to skew the accuracy of the handicap data. And so, and it's easy to show the numbers on this with slope and rating. Slope and rating is by far, even the USGA knows that slope and rating is off. That's why they added PCC, right?
It's fair.
It's because they know it wasn't doing it. And so our way of handling it is if you get people into a yardage that everybody's comfortable, you're going to get more accurate handicap data, and the data shows it. So I'll let you jump in, Fegley, and then I'll have some numbers.
Well, I mean, you kind of did it, and we got our poor players here. Just we got to get their opinions too. I mean,
Yeah, go for it.
both those guys, I mean, Dave, I'll start with you. I mean, as a player, what's your thoughts on it? How do you view it as in your aspect?
I mean, obviously I've lost, distance, when I play, being the older I am now, but I believe the senior tees are, I play with a lot of senior players, and we pretty much are even with the younger guys that play the farther tees back. And I think it's all pretty fair. I think you can see us, how we score. We score about the same as the younger guys that hit the ball farther. In fact, the younger guys can still hit the ball farther than us, even, playing farther back.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see where there's a big difference in the two tees. As a senior, I still have the option to play back if I want to, if I feel like, I'm not doing that, but a person can start the year saying, no, I want to play back. And in fact, I played with a couple guys in Tunica that were over 60, and they played farther back because they could hit the ball farther. And they felt like they had a better advantage going in the ball farther back. So, I mean, it's, it's all relative. It all depends how you're playing.
Totally get it. Greg, any thoughts?
I echo what how Dave said it as well. Yeah. I mean, I am losing distance. I still hit it out there pretty good. I stay up there with the flat bellies from the back tees, and, but I still get those mean looks, occasionally. And something I did notice, do you guys try on the par threes to kind of even it up a little bit? Is that like where I've seen a lot of silvers and greens together on this last tournament, which I liked. I thought that was a good way to do it. But all in all, until I get below that 3 point something, and you guys say,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. But no, that does bring up something, because we have, and Matt, you can kind of touch on it too. You can kind of touch a little bit about the par threes, and the par fours and how we're doing course setup, as we're looking at some things to adjust. So, I mean, Matt, do you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's we're learning based on even the differences in divisions, like the amount of science that goes into trying to set up a golf course as we continue to learn and realize we make mistakes and we miss it from time to time for sure, but we'll always take what we're doing and trying to learn over just saying, hey, you go play the white tees. And then all of a sudden you're a 15 handicap and the white tees require a 240-yard carry that you don't have a chance in the world of making. I've played in those tournaments, you know what I mean? And so we're being intentional about it, but especially 2-3, we're trying to keep the par threes as close as we possibly can. There's kind of a science behind it as we continue to listen to our members. I know I had a really long conversation with Minor that was really positive after Torrey. And a lot of times you guys think Jody and I are just riding around at a major, just not paying attention. But most of the time we're talking about, hey, do you see this guy plays? How far does he hit? What clubs he hitting on the par three compared to, we're taking notes and we're constantly trying to make the course setup better. And we're seeing the results of that. And one of the things I want to share, here's the data, because we had somebody that, I just feel like the senior tee guys are winning more. And we ran the data for Division II for all majors since we've switched to posting from the same rating and slope, whether you play the open tee, the senior tee, or the ladies tee. And I found this data to be really interesting. So we've had 26 events since this change. There's been 7 winners that played the senior tee. There's been 19 winners that play the open tee, which is a win percentage of 26.92%, which is that sounds like a lot for people in the senior tees, but senior tee players have made up 28% of those rounds. So you're actually less likely to win playing the senior tees than you are from the open tees, based on the percentage of makeup of the field. It's statistically kind of an anomaly, but we actually found some more interesting things about this. And the average score of a winner from the senior tee in Division II is 77.64. The average winner from the open tee is almost a shot and a half less. It's 76.32. The rounds below 75, which D2, that's kind of the 3.5 threshold. There's been 13 rounds total below 75. Only 2 of them came from the senior tees. 11 of them came from the open tee. So, which is about half of what, if you go to the percentage of senior tee. And rounds at or below 72, which is kind of the exceptional round, there's been 6 of them. 1 was from the senior tee. 5 of them were from the open tee. Rounds below 79, there were 45 of them. 11 came from the senior tees. 34 came from the open tees, which is still less than the percentage of rounds played. And so what we're seeing is the senior tee guys, the average differential winning in D2 is like a 6.6. So nobody's going out and shooting any crazy scores to go super low to win. It literally, the data shows that it's statistically you have the same chance based on how the handicaps have adjusted, and the data shows that it's very, very fair. And that's 2 years of data now, which is really interesting. And somebody's gonna be like, "Well, do it for 3, 4, and 5." We're working on it.
We are.
We're working on it. It's a long time to compile, y'all. So.
Well, and the other interesting thing was also the seasonality. I think, Greg, congratulations. You are the first D2 winner to win in not what would be considered a winter month. So you're the first May or later guy. So congratulations. You're the first senior guy. And that was another interesting thing as we saw is that the senior guys, who travel and a lot of them do split time in places. Those were the ones they were winning the winter majors. And then the younger guys were winning the summer. So that is an interesting thing. It
is an interesting phenomenon because as a senior, you're much more likely to win. If you're a senior tee guy, you should definitely show up in Florida in January because it's much higher. As the flat bellies get more time to practice, I feel like the flat bellies put their clubs away more in the winter than the senior guys do. I think that's part of it. it's interesting because it's a very distinct trend.
Yeah. It was an interesting trend.
It's a very interesting trend. But anyways, just wanted to share some data on that. I think that's kind of interesting. Certainly, if you're interested in nerding out on the data, please email me or Matt. We're happy to chat about it. It wasn't my passion; it's kind of become my passion to make this the most fair playing field for everybody. And we're continuing to work hard and make changes and listen to our members. The idea of senior tees, I'd love to take credit for it. I was talking to Phil Kakamies earlier today about our point system. He said that was single-handedly the best idea ever in amateur golf that you came up with. And I was like, I didn't come up with it. It wasn't my idea. You know what I mean? I was like, darn it. But
you implemented it. So.
Yeah, but all the ideas and changes you're seeing, guys, are ideas that are coming from our members. And so please share those. Also be constructive. So you start, it helps. So Matt has thin skin sometimes. No, I'm just kidding. Matt's got more thick skin than I do sometimes. So that's good. But
I applaud you guys. It's a tough job. You guys are doing well. Keep it up.
Well, we appreciate it. Well, we got a few minutes for questions. I'll take
definitely doing
playing the same color tee markers across the country. Completely agree with that. So we'll be chatting about that. You guys that are rebels, it's kind of dumb not to be honest.
It's gonna be a good one. I look forward to that one.
So, anyways, what other questions we got, Chris? You got to navigate this.
We got anything, Chris? Did we have anything? Man,
there's a bunch on there.
It's like I'm working.
Okay, we're just waiting here.
It's all
Goodness
good.
gracious, they're killing me. They're killing me. Well, I'm coming out for rain days, Greg, so we may have to go try to play golf. I think I'm staying an extra day.
I got another little hidden gem.
Who put that in there?
Take you to.
There we go.
So poor Dave is getting called out for being a Browns fan. You know,
completely fair.
Yeah, I am. That.
Oh,
I'm gonna cry. But
I
I
also PGA National would make for a great NAC. I will tell you that PGA National. Here's what I'm going to tell you so far. So I doubt Phil's watching since we're so over time. He's probably but PGA National is too far east for the 2026 North American Championship.
we get
way too far east. But when it comes back east, it would be a great spot.
I'm like, you can't move it much further. Well, I mean, I guess you could.
Yes.
The country does do it slopes, you know.
Right.
I had a question from a guy when I played out in Utah. He one of the guys I played with forgot to bring a tee up to the tee box and asked the guy you could play with, "Can I use one of your tees?" That's I didn't.
Yes. You can use
what is that? I
any
mean, is
tee
that legal?
ever.
I mean,
Any tee.
any,
You can use the
that's what I thought, but I
rangefinder,
started going crazy on
everything
it.
but their golf ball. You can even use their golf ball. You can
But their
borrow
golf
a golf
ball,
ball from
exactly.
somebody.
Yes. Yes.
As
And
Chris
one thing,
said, don't be a beep
Yeah, that was about a
core
5 minute.
value of APT. So, Greg, thanks, buddy.
so yeah, one thing I did want to show, you know, guys were asking, this was the tea gift for Bedford. It's what I've been sipping on. You know, good clear. It is water.
Oh,
Trying to make sure I stay hydrated, but
I've got
Bedford-
this full of beer right now, and
There we go.
that's why I got to go. Thanks, guys. We'll see you.
Thanks, Greg.
Bye.
Oh,
So,
yes.
Get there. Get there. Get there.
Get there. Those two words are said by golfers all over the world as a sign of respect, a whisper of encouragement, a roar of support. It's what we say to our competitors, our loved ones, our heroes. It's what we say to ourselves.
Get there.
At Worldwide Golf, we're like you. We strive to improve our game, to elevate our standards, and transcend our limits. Our commitment is to the journey, to the tradition, and to the spirit of golf that unites us all. Since 1963, Worldwide Golf has been there to supply golfers with the equipment and apparel they need to drive their journeys forward. With over 100 retail locations spread across 10 retail brands and the best golf e-commerce websites, we have exactly what every golfer needs for however they choose to play. All of this done to help golfers who want to be their best get there. We are golfers, and we're here for golfers. We built a brand around evolving the game and having what you need to play your way, and it shows in every product we offer and every experience we provide. Our goal is singular, to help you get there. Though the game may change, our mission remains: to stand beside you, to grow with you, to celebrate every victory and learn from every shot. Worldwide Golf. Get there.